With the exception of failing to cure colon cancer, the Nintendo Switch pretty much did everything humanly possible to make 2017 an amazing year. I mean, new Mario and Zelda games alongside other goodies like Xenoblade 2 all being released within an 8-month time span is pretty neat, and I suppose there really is no way to top that. Regardless though, many people are still more disappointed with the Switch in 2018 than I am with my own father right now for getting a C in chemistry. But just why did 2018 have to suck so bad for the Switch? Will Nintendo shut mustard asses like myself up with a surprise direct out of nowhere? Or are people just overreacting and this year wasn't actually that bad? Well, sit back, relax, tell your children which one you love the most, butt chug some Pennzoil, click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and allow me, Cameron Zvaniaks of the FU Game Crew, to tell you 5 reasons why the Switch's 2018 ended up being a disappointment compared to its 2017. Before we continue, I'm gonna go ahead and say that I don't think the Switch's 2018's been as bad as a lot of people are saying. I mean, almost every month's had at least one notable first-party release, which is realistically all one could really ask for. It's just that due to the fact that Nintendo gave up on the Wii U about 2 years before it actually died, and that they're no longer making 3DS games outside of ports and localizations, a lot of us just expected more, especially since 2017 being so beefed up supported the theories that Nintendo only has one device to focus on, and that they've had a few years to stockpile on a steady release schedule. But 9 months into 2018 has me wondering just what the frig Nintendo's been up to since giving up on the Wii U. Sure, 2017 was awesome, but if you look at the history of Nintendo's release schedules, every year had notable games either on their handhelds, home consoles, or usually both. So what gives, N-Dog? Why was 2018 so disappointing for the Switch? Well, my anonymous inside source at Nintendo gave me 5 reasons. So let's start with number 1. There had to be a cooldown period, dingus. When the Switch launched, Nintendo had no choice but to hit a home run, catch it in the parking lot, and then mail the metaphorical baseball far away before sliding into home given how hard the Wii U peed its pants. And if Nintendo burning themselves out meant having somewhat of a drought the following year, then so be it, cause it's still better to leave an undisputed good first impression followed by a break the next year rather than vice versa. It's like this one guy named Thomas Shit who I met under the circumstance of finding out he was the jerk-ass who drank my last can of snake milk. It doesn't matter that he was the nicest guy in the world every time I encountered him after that, cause he made the worst first impression that he possibly could've. But even though I think Nintendo ultimately made the right move by burning most of their fuel up early on rather than doing something stupid like making us wait another year for Mario Odyssey just so it'd have like 15% more content, it still can't be denied that most of the first 9 months of 2018 had to suffer because of it. Number 2. Too much faith put into cardboard. When Labo was first announced, Nintendo's stock prices skyrocketed from somewhere between $1 billion and $1.5 billion overnight. Mainly because there was a lot of people out there who liked how unorthodox it was, enough to where they all pretended they were gonna buy it. But when it actually launched in April, it didn't even top the sales charts because nobody really wanted it. And it wasn't long before the people who did get it to stop caring altogether or forget they even had it. And the reason this didn't do as well as Nintendo had hoped is because it was made for kids. But the majority of children in 2018 don't care about games, much less toys, which is more or less what Labo is. And I know there are kids out there who do like it, but the children that I'm aware of in mine and my friends' families certainly aren't going to assemble a Labo kit, nor will they care to do so in the first place. But had this been as popular as Nintendo hoped, then the Switch would have had 3 big releases in 2018. But even though I'm glad a company like Nintendo's not afraid to take risks, sadly, in Labo's case, it just couldn't deliver for Nintendo nor the fans. And this miscalculation was particularly bad because Labo was expected to carry the Switch for the first half of the year. So when it didn't work out, it just left most of us Switch owners with our thumbs in our asses all year. Because aside from Labo not being able to keep us occupied, the Switch also had number 3. Too many Wii U ports. Truth be told, I love the Wii U, and I don't even think it's Nintendo's least fun home console. The gamepad was pointless, but the console still had some of my favorite games of all time. And I've said many times in the past that I think any and every Wii U game that was decent should be ported over since it only takes 7 minutes to do. So why not port everything over? I mean, without even exaggerating, the average person really doesn't know what a Wii U is. And since the Switch already outsold the Wii U, it's a pretty good bet that most of those people never actually played all these games. And if you're a Switch owner that's never had a Wii U, then 2018's probably pretty good for you. However, even though I'm all for Wii U games being ported over to the Switch, Nintendo really pushed their luck on how they recycled content in 2018. And not only by porting games over from the Wii U, but also the 3DS with third parties recycling some older games as well. But third parties get a pass for having so many ports on the Switch since it was a smart decision to make sure the hybrid would actually be worth making games for before they wasted time and effort on it like a lot of devs did with the Wii U. Now that the Switch has proven itself though, I'm sure third parties are going to dive in deeper with more original content. But even though ports coming to the Switch can be a great thing, having so many isn't nearly as cool when you consider Number 4. There weren't enough original games. Even though the Switch came out swinging in 2017, Nintendo still should have been better prepared for 2018, and I have no idea why the Switch hasn't been cranking out classics left and right since, like I said earlier, there's only one console to focus on, and they should have been able to stockpile games thanks to the Wii U being abandoned so early. But my gripe isn't so much that the Switch didn't get enough original games in 2018, which it didn't, but more that we didn't get enough quality first-party games that were new. I mean, let's just look at the Switch's 2018 month by month. January took an understandable break after 2017's holiday season released 17,000 quality games. And then February had Bayonetta 2, which was a Wii U port, but at least it was a quality one that came with a bonus game. Besides, February was probably too soon for a brand new game anyway, given how good 2017 was. Then March came along and gave us Kirby, which was... Then April had Cardboard, which I went into more detail on earlier. May gave us not 1, not 3, but 2 Wii U ports, with one being my second favorite 2D platformer of all time, and the other game being pretty decent as well. However, they were still ports. And after Kirby and Labo failed to set the world on fire, Switch owners really started getting antsy for something new and good. However, even though Mario Tennis Aces in June turned out to be alright, I guess, it's still just a Mario Tennis game, which isn't enough to carry a console for half a year. But speaking of games that can't carry a console, July gave us a port of a game that was already on the Wii U and the 3DS with Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, which is a lot of fun for what it is. But even if it was brand new, it still wasn't strong enough to end this drought. Thankfully, Octopath Traveler was able to hold us over like being given a bottle of bull water at the halfway point on a journey through the desert. But don't get cocky, Nintendo, cause you're lucky Square Enix came along and saved your ass. Cause after July, August literally had nothing, with September giving us Nintendo Online, aka NES games. And this is what really blows my mind. Aside from Octopath Traveler coincidentally being a scoop of chocolate ice cream in the middle of a pile of shit, Nintendo really thought that a game that wasn't notable the first 2 times it was released was enough to hold us over for July, August, and September. I would go on a stronger rant against Nintendo right now, but Senran Kagura Reflections is coming out shortly before my birthday. But after 3 months of no first-party games aside from Treasure Tracker, October finally gives us Super Mario Party, which looks like it might be the best Mario Party game we've seen in a while, but much like the Mario Tennis series, Mario Party games are really more of an appetizer than a main course. Still a lot of fun, but not enough to make a console truly great, especially if you're like me and don't have anyone to play with besides your neighbor Terry. Then in November, we're getting the polarizing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, but to be honest, it really might be fun in its own right if we give it a chance. However, it's absolutely not going to be as good as a main series, aka core Pokemon game would have been, because it looks like it's just going to be a home console version of Pokemon Go, with a controller that I actually think looks pretty cool. And even though I plan to give it a chance, and I understand why we didn't get a core game, because Pokemon president Yoshihiro Tajiri didn't think the Switch would succeed, therefore didn't have anything prepared, it still comes off as a desperation filler game, and again, I really don't know how N-Dog wasn't better prepared for 2018. But finally, after a full year of decent but not amazing games, we're gonna get a brand new Super Smash Bros. Game with all the bells and whistles. And as my previous videos suggest, I have no complaints. Even without an assload of new characters, everything Smash Bros. Has ever done is being brought back. It's probably one of the only games big enough to redeem a year full of ports, appetizer titles, and underwhelming games. Unless you aren't a fan of the fighting genre, of course, which brings me to Number 5. Not enough variety. In 2017, the Switch had something for everybody. You want adventure games that'll keep you busy for 89 years? The Switch had you covered. 3D platformers? RPGs? Games in the Splatoon genre? Even though 2018 does have some good Switch games, especially if you haven't played the originals of the games that were ported over, as well as probably more indie games than last year, there just isn't something for everybody. Smash Bros. Ultimate's awesome for people that love it, and some people might not like me saying this, but there are people out there who are indifferent to it, probably because it isn't as casual friendly as a game like Mario Kart where anybody could play and have a chance at winning. Smash Bros. Is kinda designed that way as well, but if you try using items, then there's an 80% chance you're bound to get a GameCube controller turned sideways and stuck straight up your candy ass IRL. Don't get me wrong, Smash Bros. Absolutely grabs a lot of people, but it's hard for one game to grab everybody by itself. And I didn't forget about Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, but I just can't imagine it being as well received as a main series game would have been. I get that Nintendo wanted to simplify it for casuals, but catching Pokemon in the original games was already simple enough. I mean, my dumbass figured it out as a 10-year-old after all. And I know Nintendo's targeting the dads who jumped on the Pokemon Go bandwagon despite never having played a core game, which might bring some new fans in, and hopefully some of those people check the core games out next year. But for this to be one of the 2 games we waited for all year just feels a bit underwhelming compared to last year. Don't get me wrong though, I do think Smash Ultimate's qualified to be the Switch's flagship game at 2018, and Pokemon Let's Go will probably be alright, and it'll certainly sell games and even consoles out the ass. But those 2 games just aren't enough to satisfy everybody. And I know new Switch owners will also have last year's games to choose from, which is why I think the Switch will still probably sell out over the holidays. But Nintendo's still been trying the patience of the early Switch adopters, at least compared to the previous year. And I know there's still time for a Nintendo Direct to announce another game for 2018, but at this point, we're already so close to the 2018's good Switch games that I'd rather the next Direct just stack early 2019. Cause October through December doesn't really need games. It was the first 9 months it did. And unless I use my Uncle Lonnie's time machine, it's already too late for that. Even though most current Switch owners are starving for new first-party games. Mario Party, Pokemon, and Smash should be enough to hold us over for the next 3 months, so Nintendo should just worry about generating buzz for next year. Cause that'll still sell Switches now while also giving us time to play the games we've been waiting all year for. What do you think about the Switch's 2018 though? Am I just being a dick? Or do you think Nintendo held back too much? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, I'll pin whatever I find most entertaining. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your uncles and fathers to help this channel grow. Thanks to everybody who supports us on Patreon from the bottom of my ass. And if you're a sexy beast who's too cool for school, then press the subscribe button if you haven't already. My name's Cameron, and I'll see you next time.
So I want to say thank you to your loyalty, thank you for your support.